you don't know how badly you want to be here until it's like almost gone.
Yeah. So, I've talked to a few people, and you're kind of the odd one out just now so far, because like everybody's got a different reason for exercising, for training. Me myself, it's just to be strong. I hate the idea of being weak.
Yeah.
And all the strongman stuff that I want to do, and my kids at home as well. That's all reasons for me to train. And much the same for everybody I've talked to so far, but I feel that you're probably different from that. It's been a case of, with your accident, you've kind of had to use the gym through necessity, kind of fight for that life back, or fight for a better quality of life. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, going from, like, when I got out of my coma, I couldn't even lift my head up by myself. I was literally like a newborn baby. Like, I had to have people support my head just so that I could like sit in an upright position. Jesus. Because of like 8 broken ribs, my shoulder was stuck up here because it fused wrong. My hip was stuck up. My entire body was like at a weird slant, and I was in constant pain. I couldn't lift my arms. I couldn't get a glass of water. Like, I couldn't even like walk over, grab the TV remote, and change the channel for myself. I could do nothing. And to go from being like a fully like a fully able-bodied 22-year-old to just unable to do even the most basic thing for yourself. It was just devastating. So,
did you go to the gym before the accident, or
casually? I was very much a casual gym goer. It was maybe like 2-3 times a week, but I wouldn't say that I pushed myself.
Not really, kind of the same training you do now.
I'd say I exercised, I didn't train. There's a big difference between
more like
exercising.
a social thing.
Like social, or just health general things, but I wasn't really pushing any specific goal. It wasn't weight loss, it wasn't strength, it wasn't anything.
Just what how long were you in the coma for?
3 days, which isn't awful, but then due to my brain damage, and I had like several brain hemorrhages as well at the same time, they tend to talk to your family about taking you off of life support on the 4th day.
Wow.
So I was really kind of cutting it fine between showing any improvement and not. But for me, it was like 1 second I was in the coma, and then all of a sudden I was able to open my eyes. But they tried to take me out of the coma twice, and I went into respiratory failure.
Wow.
So it was just a case of my body was too weak to
just
continue living.
Back down. Jesus. So how long before you were actually aware of what had happened?
About a week, really. Because I regained consciousness, and I was kind of in and out of being able to talk to people or even communicate with my nurses about what had happened. But because of the severity of my injuries, every time I'd get a bit too lucid or conscious or anything, they'd come over with morphine or whatever else it was and sedate me again.
So you're kind of out of it anyway.
Yeah, so I was kept sedated for about a week on some very strong opioid medication, and after that I was moved to the orthopedic ward, and that's when shit really hit the fan.
That's crazy. So what can you remember what happened, or were you just told what happened?
No, I remember everything.
Really?
Like up until the point where I was like unable to breathe anymore.
Wow.
It's like I came up to the roundabout with my friends, and you know when you see like those like 300 yards to the roundabout signs in a car, every driving lesson I'd ever done, start slowing down around there. Plenty of time. On this little bike, cafe racer, kind of hunched over. I kind of felt like I was going to go over the handlebars. So I came off of the brakes, but then that meant my braking distance was far too fucking long. Stopped about like 2 feet or so above the line, and immediately was hit side on at 50 miles an hour by this car.
Wow. And
I just remember like your body goes into shock, so at no point was I ever in any pain while it was happening. But I could just feel my bones breaking like glass under the weight of all this metal, and just like crumpling like nothing, and I just got the sensation of being airborne. I blacked out for a second, but when I hit the ground, I was awake. I stood up and I went to take a step, and it was like my leg had just like dissolved underneath me, and I was like, that's not right. But at no point did I ever think to look at my leg. I was like, I'm not looking at it. I just knew something was really wrong. And people came running out of their cars, like telling me to sit down and screaming, and I was like, what was wrong? And like some guy, and I'll never forget, because like the weirdest thing to ever say to someone, he said that my femur had come earth side, Which I think is like a weird way to say it. Like if you're gonna
especially in this scenario as well. Who thinks to say like that?
He was like, your femurs come earthside, sit down, and I was like, okay, so I sat down. The paramedics were there pretty much instantly.
Really?
And I started having like a lot of issues breathing, and they're like, oh, you're just fine. Ambulance is here. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I should probably try to stay conscious then. And then they were like, no, just do whatever you feel like. And then I started to die.
That's unreal.
Because I was like, I feel like I really need to try put effort into staying conscious. And they were like,
no.
You
right. Just do you.
You do you, it'll be alright. And then, it was just like a mix of the blood loss, and I broke 8 ribs, so it tore my lung from the inside out. So every breath was kind of inflating air inside my chest cavity, which was slowly collapsing my lungs.
Wow.
So that was kind of...
Yeah, so breathing was actually causing you not to breathe.
Yeah, it was like every breath I took was kind of killing me in the end.
That's insane. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna read off the injuries that you sustained for that, because I think this is insane. So, like you said, 8 broken ribs with multiple fractures as well. Was that on other ribs?
So I had like severe breaks in the front side and back of my ribs on every rib.
Wow.
So underneath my shoulder blade, like, you know those Allen key sets that you get for fixing bikes?
Yeah.
I had one of those in my backpack the day I crashed, and a hoodie, thankfully for the hoodie. But essentially when you crash, the stuff in your bag doesn't disappear, and it all just went into my back.
Wow.
So they had to remove it from my back.
Way.
And there was quite a bad break underneath my shoulder blade, so it's kind of like all bumpy
just
there.
stuff being shoved into it.
Yeah.
That's unreal. Torn lung, from the ribs. Pneumothorax, what's that?
So that is like the air on the inside of the chest cavity.
Wow. Did you feel the pain from that? Did it hurt with it inflating?
No, it just kind of felt like you're just physically unable to breathe.
Yeah.
But at that point in time, I didn't feel like I needed to breathe.
Okay.
And that's when I knew that something was really wrong, because I was like, oh, I'm not breathing, but I don't... Like, you get this reflex.
You don't feel short of breath or anything,
Yeah, and that just didn't happen. I was like, this is so strange.
And then, so probably why your leg went to nothing. You've broken tibia and fibula, so both the bones in the lower leg. Yeah. Shattered femur. And that had come through?
That was like an open fracture, so the top part of my leg had like risen up and shot out.
Wow.
And then the part that was my knee had like shattered.
Yeah.
Like my surgery was supposed to be 5 hours to fix an open fracture.
Right.
But he said that my surgeon said that when he was in my knee, it started coming away like jigsaw pieces.
Wow.
And there was like nothing left to reattach my ACL to, so that's why they didn't do that at the time.
And so you got ACL as well. Yeah, so it's just because it had completely
nothing
detached from everything.
Yeah, so they rebuilt it around a titanium rod and then put steel scaffolding on the outside to bridge some of the bigger breaks.
Yeah. Wow. So were they able to put it all back together?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's insane. Brain damage, diffuse axonal injury, do you know what that one is?
So that's essentially when you get hit at velocity, your internal organs don't stop moving.
Yeah.
So my brain slammed against the inside of my skull, and then that recoil tore some of my neurons in half.
Wow.
So I ripped my brain in half, essentially, but not entirely. It's like in lots of teeny tiny different places.
Okay,
so the damage is in loads of random areas, which is why they couldn't say that I was going to have like this specific issue.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
That's mad. Yeah, and multiple brain hemorrhages as well, like you said before.
Yeah.
And nerve damage is kind of a given, I think,
yeah.
considering the injuries. That's insane. Was it any particular nerve damage, or just kind of around the injuries?
Yeah, so I think when I stood up after I'd landed and I took that step, I had ripped through like what remained of my quad on that side.
Oh yeah.
So I had a quarter of my quad. My quad was it was removed because they said it was irreparable damage.
Wow.
And with that came a lot of nerves as well.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of nerve damage on the right side of my leg, and it goes down to like part of my calf and areas of my feet as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just entirely numb, and I never got feeling back in it.
Right, so you still can't feel it now?
No, still nothing, but I like to think of it as like, what did you ever feel with the outside of your knee, you know?
yeah, probably.
Maybe a coffee table or something.
Fair enough. That's insane. And so you were in the coma for 3 days, and then come round just in the nick of time. And then what happened after that? Like, you would have been in hospital still for quite a while after that, surely.
I was only in hospital for 13 days.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because I just wanted out of there immediately.
Yeah.
I had dropped a lot of weight very fast.
Yeah.
And the issue of being on like that much opioid medication all the time was like my GI tract had just become non-functional.
Wow.
It was like horrendous. Even now my stomach isn't the same as what it was.
Okay.
But I dropped down from like 58 kilos to 49.
Wow.
I wasn't doing very well in there, not getting much sleep at all, and my thought process was all I'm doing is like laying around and being injured. I can do that at home.
Okay.
So I kind of discharged myself and...
Right.
But before I did, I actually remember still being in the orthopedic ward, and I was like Googling gyms, trying to find one that was
Really?
flat.
So it was that early on?
Yeah, like from my hospital bed, I had sent Lewis an email to ask him, like, what's the gym layout? Is it wide enough for a wheelchair?
Yeah.
If I come and train here, would it be accessible for me? Because currently in Aberdeen, there's not really that much options for someone in a wheelchair or someone who can't get about easily.
Yeah.
Because even Pure Gym, like, they have like a disabled lift. Doesn't always work.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I've ever actually seen it being used, to be honest.
Yeah, I've never seen it being used, and half the time it's really crowded in there as well.
Yeah, and all the CV stuff's upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, and then warehouse is like stairs.
Yeah. Jesus. So, when did you first come into the gym then?
2 months after getting out of the hospital.
Wow.
So I just needed my ribs to set,
Yeah.
and then after that it became like my fixation.
Yeah.
Because I asked them, like, am I going to walk again? And they were like, yeah, no, we'll get you walking again. And I was like, okay, what about running? Can I run? And they were like, without an ACL and missing that much like musculature from your leg, like the stability wise, we're not like not sure. You also had a cartilage plate reconstruction, so.
Well, yeah, which are not going to be built for impact.
Yeah, they said like to extend the longevity of my reconstruction to really avoid high impact kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, it was a hard pill to swallow because I used to love running. I like run like 10, 15 kilometers just quite happily, just out in nature and such, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, so it's kind of be taken away. That's insane. So just like kind of low level cardio stuff that you were doing to start with, like low impact.
So I actually started with bench press.
Of course, yeah.
Like, I know it sounds silly, but it's like, you guys, like at Results they have the accessory bar. 7 kilos.
Yeah.
So it was actually quite, like Lewis would help me. He would like set everything up for me, leave like the little, you know, like your half kilo, your 1.25 kilo plates, the teeny tiny ones. He'd leave those out for me on the floor, and I could just leave my crutches in the corner and scoot about on my ass to go and like grab the one that I wanted, put it on the accessory bar, and then just do that.
Yeah.
Because I could only really train upper body for the first few months, but it's the only way I could get myself to eat anything. Like without training, I just wasn't able to eat.
Yeah, you're just not feeling the need for it at all.
Yeah, it was just like constant nausea, like couldn't keep anything down, like even water, it was just horrendous. But yeah, bench press was really easy though, because I could just put the things on, do some bench, sit, do some more bench.
And you're lying there as well, it's not got as much stability.
Yeah. Plus, once you have the bench, you don't have to go very far. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I've seen you training for a while. I don't think I've ever seen you in a wheelchair. Did you come in a wheelchair?
No, I was out of the wheelchair by then. Mainly just because like wheelchairs have no suspension. It's like, and Aberdeen is just awful. So I was going like round like the curbs, and it was like every roll, I was just like, this is hurting everything. Like my screws, I can feel it in my metal, I can feel it in everything. It was just horrendous. So it was more comfortable for me to be on crutches once I'd gained enough balance. But I could only really do that once I came off of opioids as well. So but that took about like 4, 5, 6 months, something like that.
Yeah, how did you find that?
Horrendous.
Yeah, because that's also like a massive issue. I mean, several movies and everything focused around that issue. With people getting hooked on it, can't come off it. It usually starts with an injury or whatever, and then they can't get off it at all. But
I mean, it was like, it's something that I could really see progressing into something like that.
Yeah.
Because with my kind of injuries, there's not really a healthcare professional that would turn around and like not give them to me.
Yeah.
So I was on a very high dose for a very long time.
Okay.
And it only got to a point where I think I was like at a checkup or something, and I was like, I feel sedated all the time. I take these pills, an hour later I'm asleep. I'm dizzy all the time. I can barely put a sentence together. Like I was like just a shell of a human being. And they were like, oh, how long have you been on this? And I was like, oh, 4 months, maybe going on 5. And they were like, oh, it can kind of become a lifelong addiction at this point. And I was like,
and nobody had said
you're just
before.
telling me now? Like, fucking.
That's crazy.
Like, amazing. And I was like, okay, great. So what do I do to get off them? And they're like, okay, so we can put you on this detox program, but you're going to be addicted to something else. And I was like, that's shit.
That is shit, yeah. Was it less, did you feel less fuzzy at all when you went on to that? Was it like, did it help you come off it?
So I decided to just take less of the same thing.
Okay, yeah.
Just to like screw with my system a little less. But it was horrible. Like even just from like the pain side of things, like there has not been a day of my life that I have not been in pain since the accident. Like my ribs never stopped hurting. Like every step I take is still painful.
Yeah.
I can still feel the screws in my ankle. I can still feel the screws in the metal in my femur.
Wow.
And in between that and like the phantom nerve pain as well.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I've always been in pain since that day. But this pain was different. It was like beyond like a crying, screaming pain. It was like cold sweats, shaking, teeth chattering. You can't speak, your eyes are rolling. And you're just like cold, but you're hot, but you're sweating.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of
just nervous
just
if they're not knowing what to do.
Yeah, there was like quite a few times in withdrawal where they were like, because I was staying with my boyfriend and his family, where they were like this close from calling an ambulance because it was that bad. Or they'd give me some other meds and it would like knock me out and then no one would know what to do. And it was just, there's really nothing that I can quite say to put into words how bad opioid withdrawal really is. But it was, multiple days of just non-stop throwing up at anything.
That's crazy.
Like,
what motivated you to do that? Because like I get there'd be there's so many people that are just I think addicted to complaining and ailments and being happy with an excuse that you know what I mean. People just complain all the time. So like, what motivated you to not do that? To just stay on them and kind of give up and accept what everybody had said, that you wouldn't walk or run or anything like that again.
Yeah, if I'm being entirely honest, it was like, at the beginning, it was very much like hate.
Yeah.
And it's just pure fucking spite. I was so unbelievably angry with myself. Like, I've had a very rough upbringing in many regards. It was very difficult. I've struggled since a very young age, like just to get into like decent schooling and like transport to even get there and such. And I built my life up to the point where I'd gotten into university, I'd moved away from home, I had a job, I had a great friends group, I'd just bought my first bike, it was a beautiful little bike, beautiful motor, and I was like thrilled, like my life was taking off again, everything was at like an all-time high, and then this one little fuck up, and then some cunt tells me that I've knocked a third of my life off, that I'm never gonna run again, that I might not be able to finish this degree that I worked so hard to get into in the first place. And the only person I could blame for any of that was myself. Because at the end of the day, it was just me on that bike.
Yeah.
The bike will never do something you don't tell it to do. So at the end of the day, you look in the mirror, you're like, this is your fault.
Wow.
So
that's a hard pill to swallow.
it was, and there was a long time where I was just kind of thinking like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, it got very dark. And when you got a cabinet full of just like hard opioid medication, you know that if you take all of them, you might die.
Yeah.
It was like, there was a lot of dark, like dreary nights like that. But then I felt like, you know, you think about all the people in your life and how hard they struggle to give you the life, the opportunity to succeed, really.
Yeah.
And I decided that I owed it to myself to ensure that I got another opportunity to succeed and do well this time.
That's great, yeah.
So that was kind of really where it came from. It was just kind of, you know, if you can be your own biggest enemy, like, why not be the person to like, take you out of that mess as well?
Yeah. That's insane. So that's some fight. So you found a reason why.
Yeah.
And fought for it. And like, how do you feel now looking back on it? So it's been, what, 2 years coming up for?
Coming up for 2 years in May, so So, what is that? Like a year and 7 months, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, looking back on it, I feel very proud of myself. I feel like I've reached like a new level of like self-love, really.
Yeah.
But it's strange. It's kind of like, yeah, there was a flip in my head, like a switch went, where I went from hating myself and being my own biggest enemy to being my number one supporter.
Yeah.
And it really was just a case of like, you don't know how badly you want to be here until it's like almost gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna make you think a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, because you can be depressed your whole life. I was a very depressed teenager. You're like, I don't want to be here anymore. But then when it actually gets to the point of like,
you see it face to face.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
Then you realise just how much fight you have left in you.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, like no one will really be crueler to you than you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're gonna be your number one critic. You're your biggest bully. You're the only person that can make you fail each and every fucking day. You're the person who's gonna be like, I don't feel like training this morning. I'm not gonna go.
Yeah.
That's no one else is doing that to you. That's just you.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on the other hand, you're the only person that can make yourself do it as well. You know, and pull out the best in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you really want? Like, what do you really want? Are you going to sit there and make excuses, or are you just going to be like, my legs are broken, I'll train my arms?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's just no excuses.
Yeah, it's like, my right arm didn't work, I used my left.
Yeah.
Like, there's a way around everything.
That's crazy.
If you really, really want it. And if you can't do it,
yeah,
there is help. You just got to fight for it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Do you feel that mentality has kind of brought you further forward, not just in like getting a better quality of life back physically, but you feel that mentality, like fighting through all that's helped you mentally as well?
Massively, yeah. I think because I've struggled with depression my whole life, I wouldn't say it's like completely gone. Like depression's something that kind of comes and goes in cycles, but it's like, it's kind of helped me realize, like give me like a focal point for what I truly want for myself.
Yeah.
And be able to kind of see above the noise when things just get a bit too much. But yeah, it's been like, this mentality has kind of helped me continue to make steps forwards, and even just with the speed that I was able to achieve things as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's not been a long time, and considering the level of injuries, that's insane.
Yeah, it was like, to be back in the gym 2 months after.
Yeah.
It's like still with, well, my ribs had healed, so we'll call it 3 broken bones. But you know,
to put it lightly.
to put it lightly, 3 broken bones, and my leg didn't heal until January 2024.
Wow.
So I was still, like when I was still in crutches, a 15-minute walk would take me 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was getting up to walk on broken bones every fucking day.
Yeah.
Just so that I could, like, even sometimes I'd get to the gym, I'd sit down and be like, I'm in far too much pain to do anything. And that would have been my workout, it's just getting there.
Getting to the gym, yeah.
And that was it. Like, I didn't even get to the point of lifting anything. I was just like, I'm here. That was the aim. I'm gonna go now. Yeah. But even that is a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like, massive, considering how much energy you would have to put in to just do that as well. Because it's not easy walking on crutches either. No. And if you've not got the energy, and you know, you would have been zapped completely from being in the hospital anyway. Like, you see, you lost a lot of weight, not really wanting to eat, and on all the medications and stuff as well, which probably suppressing your diet even more. That would be like, it's horrific. Like, I felt I was suffering in a deficit just going to the gym, so I can only imagine that would have just taken so much energy just to get there in the first place.
But it was like kind of showing it to yourself that you could do it.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you put yourself through hard things to show yourself how much you care about yourself and how much you want yourself to do well. And
you would have built from that going on as well. Like, so how was your training when you started being able to train somewhat in the gym? Like, you say you started on bench and things, but I'm assuming it was nothing like what you were able to do before.
No, like before I was like quite happily doing like 50 kilo squats and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But by this point in time, I was like learning how to get out of a chair unassisted. And that was like quite a rough wake up call.
Yeah.
Because like when you're sat stationary for a really long time, I don't know if have you ever broken a bone?
No.
Never?
No, unless you count my pinky. That's it.
So essentially, when you're in a cast for a long time, let's say you broke your wrist, stays in like a really straight position for a long time.
Yeah.
When you get it off, you can't really bend it so
when
much.
it's stiff,
Like all the tendons get shorter. It's incredibly painful.
Yeah.
So that happened in my foot and my knee.
Okay,
I still don't have full range of motion in my knee, and neither do I don't have it in my ankle either.
Right.
But I had like foot drop as well.
Okay,
So like to stand with my foot up like that was incredibly painful.
Yeah.
It took a lot of stretching. It took a lot of rehab.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, it was just like getting the range of motion back in my ankle, doing air circles, and then eventually I progressed to an assisted stand. So you'd sit in a chair and you get help to like stand up.
Okay.
To a supported stand where I'd stand by like something that won't move, put your hands on it, and you just do little air squats.
Wow.
Yeah, transfer weight from one side of your body to the other side.
Yeah.
You do an air squat, and that was my leg a day for months.
So yeah, it's really starting from scratch.
Like bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people get in their head when it comes to the gym about what they should be doing.
Yeah,
and
ego is a big part in it. Yeah.
Yeah, they start like way too hardcore. They're like, oh, well, this person's deadlifting 100 kilos. I'm only doing 30. Like, there's no point in even starting. But from someone who couldn't even like touch the bar, like I couldn't even get to the ground to even touch the bar.
Yeah.
Like for the longest time, I literally couldn't get there. I started with air squats, and now I'm like doing 80 kilo deadlifts for reps.
Oh wow.
Like there's been an astronomical progression, and it all started by grabbing my crutches
and just getting to the gym.
Getting to the gym, sit down, and then fuck off. That was it. That was literally it. That's how it started. Teeny, tiny things, and even before then, it was like I would tell myself that I'd do one thing that day that would help, and whether that one thing was like I'm gonna drink like 2 liters of water, or I'm gonna sit. Like sitting was quite hard at the time. I'm gonna sit and watch this thing instead of like lie down and watch this thing. Like it was teeny tiny little things, and you just do one thing each and every day until it feels like a routine. Yeah. Because then now I don't even think about drinking enough water. Okay. Yeah. Or like getting up or like getting out of a chair. I wouldn't even think about it. But at the time, that was my everything. Yeah. That's mad. Like it's like if it's too much, just do it. Just baby steps. Yeah. I think it's the same with a lot of people, and probably like this time of year with coming into January, and it's going to be all the new year, new me people. Yeah. And it's like that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But people try and like they've got this image of what they deem as perfect or where they want to be, and they'll do everything all at once, and it's just not sustainable. It's too much of a big change. And then they drop off. Yeah. Come February, so it's not that, it's consistency over time. So it's just little things, just changing one thing until it's like you said, routine. It's a habit. Yeah. And then adding something else, and eventually that's you build it into what you want it to be. Yeah, and like just like that is like people might jump into something because they want the results, and completely negate the fact that they don't actually like what they're doing. Which is not sustainable again. Yeah, not sustainable. But like I used to ask a bunch of people who'd be like, "You think I like going to rehab all the time? You think I enjoy turning up to the gym 4 days a week to train my ass off and work really hard and like improve all these numbers? You think I like doing all that?" And they'll be like, "No, of course not." And I'll be like, "Well, I actually do. I actually quite enjoy it, and that's why I do it." Yeah, fair enough. Like I enjoy the social aspect of it. I enjoy my training routine. I like having that. I like having routine in my life. I find it something that works for me. I tried Pilates. Pilates was good. It was fun. I like doing classes every now and again. That's fun, social. But there really is something for everyone. It doesn't have to be a case of like exercise as punishment. There is literally many options. Some people exercise, some people train, and there's a multitude of different reasons for training, and there's a multitude of different ways to train as well for what you want. So it doesn't have to look the same as everybody else's. Yeah. My training's changed heaps since when I started. Like they used to strap me into this machine called Cybex, and it's like this big mechanical leg that straps to your leg, and it will mechanically bend your joints if they don't bend already. And this was not the most fun, but it was actually really effective. Really? And that's how I started out doing it. That sounds like torture. It was kind of like torture. I'll have a picture of it somewhere. It looks like a medieval torture machine, like bathed with the tears of orphans. It just looks, it looks diabolical. Then there's like one too many like straps on it as well, where you're like, why does that need that many?
Just not getting out.
Yeah, why does that need that many harnesses on that poor thing?
That's crazy.
But that's
what do the doctors think? Like, you would have had to go back for checkups and things, I'm assuming. Were they surprised at the progress that you were making? Like how, like we told you this wasn't going to be possible.
If I saw a doctor multiple times, the first time they saw me, they'd be like, they would kind of berate you the first time. They'd be like, wow, your range of motion is like a 70-year-old woman. This is horrendously bad. Like, do you have any idea how bad your injuries are? And I'd be like, I am well aware. But you have not seen me before. You don't know how much progress I'm making. They're like, well, you're on track for this, which is not a good outcome. We need to change, blah, 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 blah. And then they'll see me again the next time. They'll be like, wow, that's like very impressive progress. I'm so sorry I said those things before. But it kind of makes you think about maybe some people, they see a doctor one time and they take them on that face value.
Yeah, and just accept, like you said before, just take it and accept it as that's there now forever.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're the professional.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
They're supposed to be the professional. So, like, while I did get a lot of, like, physios and doctors and my consultant, especially the one who did my surgeries, he was very impressed with me. I also got a lot of negative interactions in the medical field. Especially like after I had my stroke, because I had another stroke after I got out of ICU. Okay. Just from like the blood thinners that they had me on. Yeah. And yeah, they told us like, oh wow, with this amount of damage, you've knocked like a third of your lifespan off. And I was just up in arms. I was so unbelievably pissed at this man. I was like, you can't fucking say that to people. You have no idea. Like, what case study did you even use? What's the case study group that they used for that fucking scientific report that you're trying to state right now? I bet it's a group of 50-something-year-old men who all they do is drink. Their cholesterol's through the fucking roof. I doubt any of this is for a 22-year-old woman. You can't run around and tell someone they've knocked a third of their life off, because that's the most depressing motherfucking thing you can say to someone without any fucking statistical data behind it. Yeah. And he was just now like, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean any harm by that, and I was like, what the fuck do you?
That's crazy. You can't be going around saying stuff like that to people.
I mean, I was very upset about it afterwards, but like at the time, I was incredibly angry. But you get told no a lot. You get told that you can't do something. You get told that it's not feasible. It's not possible. They don't have the resources. It's too expensive. Yeah,
it's more a limitation on their part then. Yeah. Did it make you fight harder, that being told no?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just part of my personality, I guess, is just being incredibly stubborn.
Not accepting what you're being told. Yeah,
they tried to discharge me from physio 5 times before I finally left.
Really?
Because they were just saying like, oh, I think you've got this, your progress is looking good, and I was like, no, I'm quite, I want to stay on the Cybex program because I'm seeing the data. I'm like, I was still improving by like 30% every time I went. Wow. And I was like, that's a massive amount of that's a massive amount of improvement. You can't look at that data and tell me that's not statistically significant. And they would say, okay, fine. They'd keep me on a bit longer, and they'd be like, okay, you're doing great. And it was the second that I was slowing down in progress that they were like, listen, I've never had a patient as long as I've had you. You have completed physio, you're doing great, you're more than capable of doing this by yourself. And at that point in time, exams were coming up, and I was like, okay, this is fine. Wow.
But I'm assuming that, especially with the NHS, they'll have some kind of baseline where they need to get you to it, and then it's safe to just on you off, and then it's up to you what you do with after that. Which is a shame. But
yeah, they say about 70%.
Really?
Yeah, 70% of like normal function, and then they'll discharge you.
Wow. Yeah, that's insane. You would think that it would be somewhat interested in, because you were making such good progress as well, interested to see where it would go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You would
some
think.
Kind of curiosity, but apparently not.
No.
That's horrible.
They used me as a case study for training their new recruits because of like the progress that I was able to make. But they also told me that I shouldn't be weight training. There was a few disagreements I had with my physio to say, and she was like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't do things like, what was it? Open chained exercise, or like leg extension, not to do those.
Right.
But squats, assisted squats or something like that, that would be fine. But I've actually had no issues with open chain exercise or anything like that. And the more muscle that I've put on, the better I feel.
Yeah.
Like the stronger I've gotten, I can now walk around. And every now and again, I'll notice, I'll be like, oh my gosh, nothing hurts. Nothing hurts.
That's
I'm walking around like a normal person and I just feel fine, and it's like, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I just feel like a normal person. Nothing's hurting, nothing's popping, nothing's sore. It's just
That's good. That's what you've been fighting for.
Just walking around like a normal human being, and it's amazing. But when I was lighter, when I didn't have that energy or the strength behind me, I didn't have the muscle mass to keep my bones in alignment.
Yeah.
Like, and they were telling me like not to do that.
I think people take that for granted as well, just feeling good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you've never been at the other end of that spectrum, it's, I guess there's nothing really to gauge it off, it's just your norm.
Yeah.
But it's an easy way to fall into then not being okay later on, I guess.
Yeah. I guess it's like, people say like aging creeps up on you.
Yeah.
But it's like habits that start in your 30s that's going to dictate your 70s.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like, if you're not an active person now, I know people who can't like walk around a shopping centre without getting short of breath.
Yeah.
And I'm here with a full like reconstruction and I'm fine.
Yeah, it's a worry. It's definitely a worry. Yeah, I think it's too many people too comfortable, and they won't be for long if that's the way they maintain it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not old at all. I'm 34, but I definitely with the older I get, and I do train, but I'm still aware, and it possibly because I've got young kids as well, and see if you're not fit and not well, just getting down on the ground to play with them is hell, it's torture, and running up and down stairs and carrying them is knackering, it's so tiring, so like, I wouldn't ever have it that I was too weak to do that, so I've got that in my head to constantly push myself, like that is why I'm fit.
For your family.
That's what my health is for. It's not just for me, it's for them, and I don't want to be decrepit when I'm 70. Do you know what I mean? So starting now, I'm going to stave that off for as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the reality check that I had so early in my life. Yeah. Because I went from being able to like do a night out, run around all night, be fine the next day, to like I walk too much the next day, I'm swollen. Like I can't wear socks, like my foot is like blown up or something. But this is quite early in recovery, not so much anymore. And I was like, I can't afford to do things that are bad for my health anymore. Yeah. Like I can't afford to do a night out.
Just put things into perspective.
Yeah, it's like people can have such good health that they can do all this like detrimental stuff, like smoke all the time, drink all the time, never exercise, excessive like either like too skinny, too overweight or something like that, and they'll just be able to get on with it because they've got good health. Whereas someone like me, if I gain too much weight, that's going to put too much stress on my joints. If I lose too much weight, I'm not going to have the energy or the strength to get this leg to work. So it's a very fine balance that you're having to keep a hold of, and it does make me very conscious of like, what's life going to look like for me when I'm 40 or when I'm 50?
And the stronger you are now, the fitter you are now, that's going to be a lot easier to deal with, rather than waiting until it's too late. Yeah. Or it's going to be a lot harder to...
Well, like even I've got 2 more reconstructive surgeries I need to get through at some point. I'm still on the waiting list for them.
Really?
But every time they operate, and you've probably seen this with Ben, you're going for a major surgery, your muscle just melts off.
Yeah, you're going to lose a lot of weight, and you come out. Yeah, so the stronger you are going into that, the better off you're going to be coming out of it. Yeah, and that's a worry as well. Luckily, I've never had to do anything like that. I've never had any major surgery or anything, but I'm still always like, it can happen to anyone. And we've seen what Ben went through, and a few others. Danny, my own partner as well, with our last child, like almost ended her. The stronger you are going into that, better you're going to be coming out the other side. And that's kind of a fear, is that if you're not strong going into that, you've not got much of a chance.
Yeah, you really don't. And it's like, you don't, I mean, it's like you said, like you never want to be weak. Yeah. I'm also quite the same. Like I grew up feeling like I was always very skinny. I didn't enjoy that. I got bullied a lot. I didn't want to be weak or to be perceived as weak. But then after this accident, it's like, yeah, I trained, and the muscle memory was great for helping me put that weight back on. But it kind of got to a point where it's like, I wish I'd trained harder, because you don't know you need to be strong until it happens. And then all of a sudden you got to pull it out of nowhere. And it's, you can't really teach yourself that. It's something like, training is something that will see you through whatever catastrophe life throws at you. Whether that is like having kids or being around to support your family for a long time. Or just even living a happy, long life for you.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like, it's invaluable.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I talked to this, about this to Laura as well. Like, I think the stronger I feel, I feel like a good protector for family as well, and I wouldn't feel that being weak. It's just more reasons to train and be strong, just feel better for it. I feel more capable and confident, and that's, that alone's worth it. You know, just to be fit and strong, and it not even like physical stuff that you'd have to go through with being stronger, but mentally as well. We touched on that earlier with you know, the mentality it takes to be able to train, to be able to push yourself through horrible stuff, and get good at it. That then I feel transfers well into the mental side of things as well. So I mean, you're dealing with difficult stuff in life. Mentally, that physical training is going to come handy for that as well. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I've seen it a lot since I've gone from like university to getting my first job. My mentality of training and just being able to, like, you can know in your head that you've got to take things bit by bit and progress slowly and things are going to get there. But until you actually do it, it's just something that people say. And like, you're not really going to take it on board until you actually do it. So I turned up to this new work, complete, like, brand new trainee, never done any of this stuff ever before, and I felt useless. I felt so useless. I didn't know any of the lingo, any of like the jargon, nothing. I didn't know how to do anything, and I just, I kind of took a step back and I was like, well, it's just like anything else, you know, you start with... Just like stepping foot in the gym. You start by just turning up, you listen, you do some low-level stuff, repetition, keep turning up, keep trying your best. Like, every day I would turn up and just say to myself, today I have the energy, so I'm going to try my best. Like, with the energy that I have, I'm going to do the best that I can. And that's seen me through till, like, getting past my probation and getting my first promotion and like all this just life stuff. Or even things like, you know, you work all day, you're tired, you don't want to do the cooking or whatever, and you're like, okay, one last rep, we're going to the shops, we're buying some stuff, getting some food, fine. And like, actually having the energy and the discipline to just do it, rather than like take an action, give up and like dominoes. Like, it's teeny tiny little things like that. It really affects how you live your life, or even just like getting up in the morning. Because when I didn't have a job, it was like, why? Like, what's the point? A lot more difficult. But if it was like, oh, I'm getting up because I've got PT, I've got to train, I'm doing this and doing that. It's just giving yourself reasons. It's a lifestyle. It's and the community as well. Gym community is huge as well. Results amazing for that. Very supportive. Plus, there's so many people in there that have like, I think there's someone who goes there who has like kidney failure. Someone else has varicose veins, or someone else has issues with their lungs. There's a mad amount of like Ben has reasons for people no training. Colon or anything else. Like, he's missing all sorts of body parts. And the fittest, most ridiculous person you'll ever meet. But it's like, it's things like that where it's like, you'll meet people who are like, oh yeah, I was literally dead last year, and here I am, like, doing training 4 days a week, doing PRs all over the shop because it's just been Christmas and I'm full of fuel. Like, and it makes you think, was it really like impossible, or like, I think results is a good example of people that have just taken action, and everybody's got a story, and not a lot of them you'll be able to tell straight off the bat. No. So that's and it's like the wealth of knowledge as well. Like, with my cartilage everybody's got different backgrounds and experiences and stuff.
Definitely.
And everybody's willing to share as well, which is nice.
Yeah, it's like Kev, like he has arthritis. He does the arthritis diaries.
Yeah.
I'm on track to have some wild arthritis in my older years with this cartilage plate reconstruction. So I was asking him, I was like, Kev, how do you cope with arthritis so I can kind of gear up to prepare for this? And he's like throwing all sorts of tips, and yeah, it's been super helpful. The coasting and chondroitin because of Kev.
That's good, yeah. That's good. Yeah, I like the way he trains.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, it's great for the mood as well. Like it's fantastic for like mental health and being able to like have the feeling that you're doing something about it.
Yeah.
Rather than being helpless and
again,
victim.
just taking action, instead of thinking about what it could be. Just actually going to do it.
Yeah, so I guess it all comes back down to like the whys behind training. Like my why has changed so much. It's changed from like I want to be able to get up and get a glass of water, because I never like even considered how much of a privilege it is to be able to walk and hold something with your hands at the same time. Because I was always using my hands to walk, and I was like, I can't carry shit. It's fucking like it's so annoying. You don't understand until it's happened. Yeah. So it started from like being able to walk and carry something, even if it's just a bottle or a glass, to being able to walk around a university campus. To having enough energy to study, or having enough energy to go to work, to eventually being able to work and study at the same time. And then here I am, like nothing happened.
Amazing. So how is that? You've graduated now, have you?
Yeah, I graduated with a 2-1 in neuroscience.
Excellent.
And this was after a neurologist told me that I scored in the range of mild retardation.
No way.
Yeah, he literally sat there and called me a retard, and I was like,
"You're kidding?
Are you shitting me?" It's because it's a medical term they've phased it out now. But essentially, what it means is like you have different types of memory, basically. You got your auditory memory, like you hear something, can you remember that?
Yeah.
Visual, you see a pattern, can you remember that? Long term, short term, all sorts of types of different types of memory. And mine were mostly fine apart from my short term and my auditory memory. Okay. So play these sounds back to me and I'd be like, what did you just hear? And I'd be like, no idea. It's gotten a lot better now. But yeah, at the time it was like I would like read or listen to a lecture, to get to the end of it, and I wouldn't even be able to tell you the title. Really? Like it's like I'd not done it, but I'd look down and the notes are all done perfectly. Yeah. Like someone has been in my brain and done all the work for me and deleted the memory. So I just had no idea what was happening all the time. I spent like 10 hours in the library, couldn't remember shit, and I was like, how am I going to sit an exam like this? Like, you spend 10 hours there, and I'd be like, what did I even study today? But everything was done. It was the most surreal thing ever. But yeah, I went from that to just being able to do it in the end. Yeah,
that's good. Yes, it's kind of all just come back.
Yeah, it came back mostly. I still have, I'd say I have episodes every now and again. Okay. Yeah. Where I'll just forget something, but for 90% of the things I need to do in a day-to-day range of things, Brilliant. I'm fine. Yeah.
And you're not retarded anymore?
Not retarded anymore.
That's good.
I did the test again and they were like, you're normal now. I was like...
Great, that's good, yeah, that's progress.
Yeah.
Moving up in the world.
But honestly, this guy, I was like, you sat there with a neurologist, he studied for decades. Yeah. Top of his field, he's like, you're retarded. And then you just sit there, it's really kicking someone while they're down. It's like, you may have broken half your body, you may be in constant pain, opioid withdrawal, you might never run again also, actually. You're going to be in pain for the rest of your life, and also when you're older, you're going to have mad arthritis, and good luck breathing. Good luck with that. But also, just a little cherry on top, retard. And I was like...
That's wild.
It's just, really kicking someone while they're down.
But I'm glad it didn't keep you down. That's insane recovery for 2 years. I thought it would have been a lot longer. I seen you in the gym with crutches. I seen you training. But yeah, and I didn't know at the time what was the cause of it or anything. Just kind of kept myself to myself. But yeah, that I couldn't have told you that it was only a few months ago that had happened. That's mad.
it's just crazy how quickly things progress. I kind of like, I know it kind of sounds stupid, but have you ever like been around horses?
Not really, no.
No. So when I was younger, I lived in the middle of nowhere. It's like one of the things I used to do. I used to work on a yard with horses in exchange for horse riding lessons.
All right.
So anyway, I could afford it as a kid. And what used to happen is that you get a horse that's sick, and they go down. It's like the longer a horse is downed, like the smaller the percentage chances that they're actually going to get back up and be fine.
Okay, yeah.
So in my head, once I got out of my coma, I just had this image of a downed horse. And I was like, I need to get up quick or I'm never going to get up.
Yeah.
Like, I have to bounce or that's it. Like, my bones will set, my muscle damage will be permanent, the nerves will not grow back. I knew all of this because I studied it.
Yeah.
And so I was well aware that the longer I spent in that hospital bed, the longer I spent not moving, not training, not reading, not writing, not trying to remember things or interacting with people, because I couldn't even get through a sentence. Like when I got out of the coma, I would forget by the time I was halfway through the sentence and then have no recollection and start the sentence again. But yeah, I had this image of a downed horse and I was like, I got to get moving as soon as possible. So it kind of helped propel me through like the next year and a half of recovery, which was just brilliant. One thing after the next.
Yeah, that's good. I think finding a why, a solid reason why, is a lot stronger than just motivation.
Yeah, it's like sink or swim. Like at the end of the day, it's like, what do you really want for yourself?
Yeah. And
if that is just like, I don't know, like a regular day-to-day life, like, do you really want that for yourself, or is that just something that you've been told that you want?
Yeah.
Like, have you always secretly really wanted to be a Monroe completist, but you're just not sure you have the fitness to start or the like knowledge to start? There's no reason why you can't start.
Yeah, just start.
You have the same 24 hours in a day as everyone else. And even now where like I'm working 8.5 hours every day, I still have enough time to train, go see my friends, do social things. And does that mean I get a lot of time to sit down and watch Netflix? Not really, but...
Not missing out on much.
No, it's like, there is really so much more to life.
Yeah, it's prioritising it. It's, if you really want to do it, you'll find time to do it.
Yeah, it's like finding things that genuinely make you happy. Like, people will like, sit there and ask you, like, who are you? And I don't really know that I have an answer to that question, or if I even really agree with the question. Because like people can be many things, but it's like, what do you really want to do in your life? How do you want to live your life? Do you want to be someone who's stuck in this little cycle of you go to work, you pick up the kids, you come home from work, you do the chores, you're back. You know, little cycle. Yeah. Or do you want to have a project, a hobby, go outside, see the sunshine and go for walks, and none of this has to be expensive or anything, but it's just like exploring, seeing friends, interacting with people, doing things that make you feel...
Instead of watching other people do it on the telly.
Like, what fills your cup? Like, for me, it was returning to bikes, and some people think that I'm mental. Yeah,
you're back on the bikes, I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's a massive mental win, that.
Yeah, I've been back riding for 6 months now.
Wow. Was it scary? Was it like a massive thought, like, do you really want to do it? Or
I remember thinking when I was still in active recovery, it's like, oh, I shouldn't have ever been back on that bike. And then I was like, nah, I can't be thinking like that because I loved that bike. It's my first motor, because I didn't even have a car license then. Yeah. Which is also like, if you ever drive a motorcycle, or if you ever ride a motorcycle, right? Get a car license first. Do not do what I did. You do not know the road knowledge you are missing until you get a car license and you explore in the safety of a steel cage. Do that first and then think about getting a motorcycle, because that was honestly the dumbest thing I have ever done in my life. No road knowledge, no nothing, and I was like into the wild with a bunch of strangers from Facebook on a tiny little 125, no protection, nothing, just off we go. But yeah, I loved that bike. It was a sense of freedom for me. Yeah. It was getting out and it was getting outside. It was seeing more of Aberdeen. It was cutting through the countryside and enjoying the sunshine and the fresh air and exploring. And it was everything. It was absolutely everything. Even just the experience of the ride was just unless you've done it, you just don't know. It's just it was beautiful, and I felt so sad that I had ruined that beautiful thing for me because of my ego. Like my ego was so big that I thought that after like next to no experience on bikes or on roads, that I could ride all the way out to Cruden Bay on B roads with all the big cars and going super fast and be completely fine when I didn't even know how to take a corner properly. Like it was just unrealistic. And part of me being like, I owe it to myself to ensure that I get another chance to succeed. I knew that I wouldn't feel happy, I wouldn't feel fulfilled if I didn't go back to bikes. Because you see a bike pass and you're like, oh, I wish that was me. I wish I could do that. That would be so cool. I would really enjoy that. And it was just eating away at me. And then I decided for sure that I was going to go back to bikes. My CBT was still valid. I bought a new bike. I think it sat for... I bought a bike in April. I didn't ride it until June.
Wow. Just psyching yourself up to get on it.
Yeah, like I bought all the gear and I would practice like just putting the helmet on to begin with, because I'd put the helmet on and I'd start having like a panic attack. Like I couldn't breathe all over again, like the PTSD was going wild and I was just like, just freaking out. So I would just start by like putting on the gear, seeing how I felt, trying to stay calm, because you can't be on a bike and freaking out. It was like your bike and the body kind of work together as one. So yeah, it was kind of baby steps, but when I eventually did get back to riding, it was like riding a bike. You never forget.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it was, a little bit to get used to, but it wasn't so much the learning curve that I expected. I thought that I'd have to learn everything from scratch, but I knew how to ride, so
that's good.
It was fine. And now it's been 6 months. I've had some wobbly moments. I low-sided on the day of my final exam as well. Crashed the bike.
Seen you that day.
Parked up on the pavement because the bike was broken, jumped into this guy's car. I was like, I need to get to my exam. He was like, oh, okay, I'll have a cool story to tell my boss when I'm late today. He dropped me off there. I did the exam, one of my best exams, mind you, actually, with that amount of adrenaline. Took the bike back to work on it, fixed it myself, got it running again.
Nice.
And the rest has just been history, right? Like I use it as my daily commuter now and everything's fine. Looking at getting my A2 next season and a little Ninja 400 for my next bike. So lots of exciting things, and
That's
it's just
amazing.
like, I feel like I'm not whole without my bike. And for me, that's my why, I guess.
That's massive steps, honestly. A lot of people wouldn't even dream of going back on it, but
but now I think about, like, I never want that to happen again for a multitude of reasons, but now my training is kind of like, I train so that I can do the things that make me happy in my life, and that is bikes. That's being able to support the weight of a bike and myself with my injured leg. That's being able to be fit enough and alert enough and have the memory and like the intellectual capacity to ride and plan a route that is safe. Being able to do all of these things, and then just by improving my mood as well. My friend group has like doubled, tripled even, like, because you get so isolated for injury as well. And I guess it's just finding your why. Like for you, what would you say that is?
I think to begin with, when I started training, it was more just I just wanted to be strong. So much like yourself, I was very small growing up, so I was always a skinny kid, and I kind of made myself not. And it was just about being strong. I hated the idea of being weak, and so that was enough for me. And to be honest, I've been up and down, so I've been through all the body shapes. I've been overweight and unfit, been overweight and fit, if that makes sense. And I've recently done that strip again as well. But I think the more I go on, although I've got like strongman goals, and that's kind of what I train for, it's more important that I can just move freely in day-to-day life. Like I can get down on the ground, play with the kids, and I can carry them about and swing them and all that stupid shit that you take for granted. I think that means everything.
Kids are so high energy.
Oh my god, and just being healthy for long enough that I can actually enjoy life. yeah, just being fit through that. I mean, I've changed my training again just to reflect that again, including more cardio and a different style of training, so I can still get stronger, but be more efficient as well.
Yeah.
That was something I learned through powerlifting as well, because I was statically strong but couldn't go up a set of stairs without breathing out my arse. And that's how I transitioned to strongman as well, because it was better for that. But even then, it's not exactly cardio.
Yeah.
You know, like the longest we move for is like 90 seconds at a time, so you kind of really need to force it in. And as much as I dislike it, I like how I feel after getting that up to some kind of decent standard.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just quality of life.
I think quality of life is a huge one. I also think a lot of people are going to relate to like family.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of people, like being able to be strong and healthy for their family is everything. Yeah,
I mean, my dad's in his 60s and he does not look it at all. Like he looks in his 40s, and he just runs all the time. He goes to the gym regularly, so it's kind of proof in that he's that much older, but he didn't look it at all. You wouldn't think of it, and he can still run about.
Yeah.
You know, and do what he wants. That's a good place to be. Do you know what I mean? Rather than getting to there and realising shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of too late then. So yeah, I think just being stronger to protect my own quality of life. That and the more short term goals of like what I want to be able to do in strongman.
Yeah.
And that, you know.
I think moving forwards for me, that's gonna be like a shift, because I kind of seen like my whys became like, I want this quality of life for me to move forward and be able to live a normal life and like everyone else, and enjoy the things in life that people just take for granted, that maybe some things I can't quite do anymore, but for the most part I can still join in and enjoy most of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but moving forwards, like when it comes to potentially having a family in the future, that would be something that would be, you know, take precedent, because you always want to be a good role model. You want to be a happy, healthy person that's showing someone how to navigate life in a way that brings you joy, not just getting through Monday to Friday to live for 2 days at the weekend and then
as well.
Feel awful.
Yeah, that's not a way to live at all.
No. Yeah, I guess it's just, you can ask all the whys, but then also like, why not?
Yeah, I think we've talked about this recently as well. It's like people using kids as an excuse to not go to the gym or not be fit, and that's like, it's so backward. It should be the opposite way around.
I oftentimes hear, like, you know, when you hear people be like, oh, parents can get so protective, it's like they get this wild strength like to protect their kids. They'll be like, oh, I'd die for my kids, I'd do anything for my kids. It's like, yeah, but would you live for your kids? Would you live a happy, full, fun-filled life for your kids? Yeah,
they pick up on that as well. So
yeah,
like,
they know if you're happy. They'll feel it.
Even my 2-year-old will ask, like, if any of us are out at the house, I'll ask if mum or if I'm at the gym, because that's where she assumes we are if we're out of the house, which is great. That's amazing for 2-year-old. Just, and she's been in the gym, she's seen the gym, so she knows it's a place. They just assume that's where we go.
But then she's gonna want to copy. She's gonna want to be like her mum and dad.
They left on our 2 youngest girls. It's like Pebbles and Bam Bam, and they're wild. And they left stuff like they've seen on videos and on Instagram with stuff that we do. And we left stuff at the house every so often as well. They copy. They want to do it and be the same. Which is great. That's an excellent way, rather than just seeing us lazing about all the time, being miserable. So.
I've seen far too many people like just glued to a couch, like just like not really doing anything, watching films, playing video games. It's like kids quite like to do things. They like to like run around in forests and look at shells and whatnot.
We notice a massive difference if we have. If we have a lazy day, that it totally messes them up, because they've not been able to get that energy out, and they get restless and they get ratty and start gurning and things. Whereas if they're outside, like, it doesn't even have to be for long, because they get knackered really easy. But just going round the corner to the park or going for a walk in fresh air, like, they're totally done. Sleep all night, and they're so much happier. So there's something in that.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, like, human beings are still like animals in a way.
Not built to be
like,
sat in
not
house.
built to be sat glued to an office computer. It's just unnatural. You got to move your body. You got to eat right. You got to hydrate. Like, you wouldn't get a dog and make it sit in an office all day. Like, it's just meeting your basic needs, I think, is a huge step towards getting to anything fitness related. Yeah. Because I guess, like, if you're also trying to build up to it and you're not even meeting your like basic caloric intake, you're not hydrated, your sleep pattern's out the window because you're up gaming till 3 a.m, it's like you're kind of setting yourself up for failure if you can't do the basics just yet. Yeah, it's detrimental to yourself. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming in. No worries, thank you very much for having me.
The story is insane, honestly. Like, the amount of times I've read through that, and I'm like, fucking how?
I know, my next 2 like reconstructive surgeries are just going to be, I think it's going to be really tough to get through mentally. Yeah. They're not going to be quite so bad, so I'm going to get a knee arthroscopy, so I'm going to put a little camera in my knee, because I've got so much scar tissue. Kind of causing me issues. Okay. But it's also the same thing that's holding my knee together. And that's why I am able to run still. Okay, yeah. Because the scar tissue is so tight. Yeah, there's so much scar tissue, it's holding my leg together. So it's kind of acting like an ACL. Wow. So I don't want them to remove too much. Because I do need that. But yeah. And then the other one is I'm getting my metal out of my ankle. Oh, excellent. Yeah, it will be I'm hoping that it just kind of helps my ankle mobility and just reducing the pain. Yeah. So when I'm doing things like sled push or deadlifts or squats, I can feel like the metal like pulling on my skeleton. Because like the whole reason they put it in there in the first place is like I snapped my foot off slightly. So to put it back on, they opened me up on the sides and they like put 2 screws in here and then 8 on this side, but there's like 2 at an angle just to keep the bottom of my bone attached. Right. And they poke it on my skin, so I can't sleep on my side because it's like the metal is like pushes into the skin. Yeah, and your ankle doesn't have much anything on it. Yeah. So I can like feel the screws like poking it on my skin. A client that was like broke something in his lower leg, and he had 2 bolts that he had to go get out, but you could see the bolts. Like you can see the head, it's like they'd worked themselves out, or I can see it's a Phillips head screw that's in my ankle. Like in the sunlight, it's a Phillips head. I'm like, what the hell?